Sounds trap, right? Oh, I love it. Definitely don't like the smell of that skeet. What, you want to play now? I'm about to read, buddy. So we're good to go, right? Good to go? wash it. It's got black on it. A little bit. It's nice and cold, right? Feels good, right? Oh, I love it. My apologies. I think you might want to listen to a little music. Let's go ahead and get into reading. How y'all guys doing? I am hungry. Very hungry. I'll probably go to sleep a little early. I'm gonna take a slow niacin. Usually if I fast, I won't take no vitamins. The slow niacin, just to get my skin flush. That way I know the vitamin B3 and the niacin is getting in, which is very good for your arteries. The thing is, though, it's better to eat to get your vitamins and stuff. Hush up. The ones that I'm utilizing, I only take them like every 4 or 5 days. So as long as there's plenty of fiber, I have nothing to worry about. So let's go ahead and start with Arthur Kessler, the 13th tribe. And if you're part of the Hebrew Israelites, chime in. Do me that favor. Chime in, please. I got something for you. A whole lot of somethings for you. So let's go ahead and get into this. What's up, Papa? Huh? You look wild up. You see what I see. Well, I see what you see, huh? You ready? You sit down. You ready for me to start reading too? He's right there. That's the ammo came in that bag. You want to play with the bag? You know we can't do that. It's like with kids. You can't play with that. Yeah. And he just put his paw on it, flattened it, because it was cuffed open. We'll throw it away here in a little bit, okay? We'll throw that and that away, okay? All right. You don't have to be so. Thank you. He's literally sitting there waiting for me to read. Oh yeah. He's always there when I read. Anyway. Again, this is Arthur Kessler, the 13th tribe. I feel the urge to know the truth, whether there is really a place on this earth where harassed Israel can rule itself. Now, I'm just reiterating where I left off from yesterday. Okay? And it gets down to, and I also have one more request, to be informed whether you have any knowledge of, in brackets, the possible date, end, of the final miracle, in brackets again, the coming of the Messiah. Now, who is this speaking? Which, wandering from country to country, we are awaiting. That's our ancestors speaking. What messianic or Messiah? Now, he's interpreting it his way. Him being of the Ashkenaz, to which they murdered because he told the truth. Yet his book still got published. Now, some would argue, well, if it got published, what's the validity and the truth in it? He published it before they murdered him. And his wife, from what I understand. So there you go. He was just tired of the malarkey. Like my uncles. Anyway, the beginning of the letter praises the happy lot of the Jews in Spain. The end breathes the bitterness of the exile and Zionist fervor and messianic hope. I'm reiterating. But these opposite attitudes have always coexisted in the divided heart of Jews throughout the history. The contradiction in Hasidai's letter gives it an added touch of authenticity. How far his implied offer to enter into the service of the Khazar king is to be taken. So the Khazar king Bulan was not a Jew. Just as these ones running around now, controlling everything, poisoning the air and the food and the water. And those who actually don't know the part that's being played, but they do it in ignorance because they actually believe they're the messianic people when they're not. Anyway, it states, How far his implied offer to enter into the service of the Khazar king is to be taken seriously is another question, which we cannot answer. Perhaps he could not either. Because you got to remember the coup d'etat we read about 4 paragraphs back, which was by design to take over the true Hebraism, or the true Ishmaelites or Israelites. King Joseph's reply is less accomplished and moving than Hasdai's letter. No wonder, as Cashapp remarks, scholarship and culture reign not among the youths of the Volga, but on the rivers of Spain. The highlight of the reply is the story of the conversion, already quoted. No doubt Joseph too employed a scribe for penning, probably a scholarly refugee from Byzantine. Nevertheless, the reply sounds like a voice out of the Old Testament compared to the polished cadences of the 10th century modern statesman. The thing that trickles me with laughter and giddy is who else would go so far as to admonish the true spirit of a people, their creativity, the fact they had nowhere to go, not that they didn't, but their place, our ancestors' place, was a different place, for they were everywhere. And they were scattered abroad long before a Moor became a Moor and everything else. What should compel people is to wonder, why did the so-called Christians, the Benzonites, and all of them, why did they choose not to become a Hebrew or pick up the mantle and convert? Because it was never meant for anybody to convert to. And who would only do that? A people with a sickness, a disease, intrepid and entrapped, and then to run around the earth grabbing all their half-breed offspring of the San people, to which the Ashkenaz mated with and created the Chinese and the Japanese you see today, the two people that conquered and came here unbeknownst and slowly politicized, made paperwork of falsitudes, maybe on parchment at one time, and destroyed our cities. Our grand cities, the majority were destroyed here. And yet there were many up until I would say there were still major ones that were destroyed even in 1965, that the U.S. corporation, under their guise, Henry Kissinger, the fake Queen of England, and so on, utilized to store tanks and jeeps and weapons and bombs. And then once it was done, they raised them. And as we go on, it starts with a fanfare of greetings, then reiterates the main contents of Hasdai's letter, proudly emphasizing that the Khazar kingdom gives the lie to those who say that the scepter of Judah has forever fallen from the Jews' hands, and that there is no place on earth for a kingdom of their own. Did you hear me? This is followed by a rather cryptic remark to the effect that already our fathers have exchanged friendly letters which are preserved in our archives and are known to our elders. These bastards that run around calling themselves rabbi, this, that, and the other, praising their little they're compelled to, and they don't even know it, and they're sick. The circumcision, do you know what the circumcision actually was? To cut ourselves off from the world around us, knowing what was coming. To remove ourselves from the desires of the flesh, not to detach the flesh. To become eternal by ways of internal humbleness. Meek among all those, though we were the most powerful. We built Tartaria. Joseph then proceeds to provide a genealogy of his people though a fierce Jewish nationalist, proud of wielding the scepter of Judah. The scepter, sounds familiar? Heaven bearers. He cannot and does not claim for them Semitic descent. He traces their ancestry not to Shem, but to Noah's third son, Japheth. This is the Khazars who have converted. Pay attention. Or more precisely, to Japheth's grandson, Togarmah, the ancestor of all Turkish tribes. We have found in the family registers of our fathers, Joseph asserts boldly that Togarmah had 10 sons, and the names of their offspring are as follows: Uighur, Dursu, Avars, Huns, the Huns, Basili, Tamak, Khazars, Zogora, Bulgars, Sabir. We are the sons of the Khazars, the seventh. The identity of some of Japheth, remember by way of Gomer? The identity of some of these tribes with names spelt in the Hebrew script is rather dubious, but that hardly matters. The characteristic feature in this genealogical exercise is the amalgamation of Genesis with Turkish tribal traditions. This may refer to a 9th century Jewish traveler, Eldad Hadaneh, whose fantastic tales, much tread in the Middle Ages, include mentions of Khazaria, which he says is inhabited by 3 of the lost tribes of Israel, and collects tributes from 28 neighboring kingdoms. Eldad visited Spain around 880. 880. Remember I showed a picture of a building I saw personally that was gilded, a Tartarian building in 865. One of my posts, go way back and look at it. I-865 established. And that was in England, so-called England, Britannia, or whatever they want to call it. And may or may not have visited the Khazar country. Hastei briefly mentions him in his letter to Joseph, as if to ask what to make of him. It also throws a sidelight on the frequent descriptions of the Khazars as the people of Magog. Magog, according to Genesis X 2 and 3, was the much maligned uncle of Togarmah. Remember in Tartaria, we look at Turkey as in one place, but we have places here that rival Turkey. Just as we look at Roma, yet we have Colosseums and things here that rivaled Rome. Just as they look in Greece, we had all those things here that rivaled Greece. They were quick to dismantle and destroy even the grandest of our trees. These are not trees. Even the redwoods they're petrified, but those are not even great trees. After the genealogy, Joseph mentions briefly some military conquests by his ancestors, which carried them as far as the Danube. Then follows a great length the story of Bulan's conversion. From this day onwards, Joseph continues, the Lord gave him strength and aided him. He had himself and his followers circumcised and sent for Jewish sages who taught him the law and explained the commandments. There follow more boasts about military victories, conquered nations, etc., and then a significant passage, twitch. After these events, one of his Bulans, in brackets, to make sure you know, grandsons became king. His name was Obadiah. He was a brave and venerated man who reformed the rule, people. Changed it. Fortified the law according to tradition and usage, built synagogues and schools, assembled a multitude of Israel's sages, gave them lavish gifts of gold and silver, and made them interpret the 24 sacred books, the Mishnah, precepts, and the Talmud, and the order in which the liturgies are to be said. Now, isn't it comical? As to Yiddish, they had to add vowels. Why? Is to hide an ancient language. This indicates that about a couple of generations after Bulan, a religious revival of Reformation took place. In parentheses, it states possibly accompanied by a coup d'état on the lines envisaged by Ottoman. It seems indeed that the Judaization of the Khazars proceeded in several steps. We remember that King Bulan drove out the sorcerers and idolaters before the angel appeared to him, lies, and that he made his covenant with the true God before deciding whether he was the Jewish, Christian, or Muslim God. Before he was the Jewish, Christian, or Muslim God. Before deciding whether he was the Jewish, Christian, or Muslim God. It seems highly probable that the conversion of King Bulan and his followers was another intermediary step, that they embraced a primitive or rudimentary form of Judaism based on the Bible alone, excluding the Talmud. All rabbinical literature and the observances derived from it. In this respect, they resembled the Karaites, a fundamentalist sect which originated in the 8th century in Persia and spread amongst Jews all over the world, particularly in Little Khazaria, all over the world. For example, the Crimea, Dunlop, and some other authorities surmised that between Bulan and Obadiah, for example, roughly between 740 and 800, in parentheses, some form of Karaism prevailed in the country, and that Orthodox Rabbinic Judaism, I'll say Judaism, because I don't know what, they created a storm, was only introduced in the course of Obadiah's religious reform. It's pure cocky, poppycock. The point is of some importance because Karaism apparently survived in Khazaria to the end, and villages of Turkish-speaking Karaite Jews, obviously of Khazar origin, still existed in modern times. Thus, the Judaization of the Khazars was a gradual process which, triggered off by political expediency, slowly penetrated into the deeper strata of their minds and eventually produced the messianism of their period of decline. Their religious commitment survived the collapse of their state and persisted, as we shall see, in the Khazar Jewish settlements of Russia and Poland. So everything you see today by them is very wicked and a lie, unholy and unrighteous. And then they had to come here and utilize the ignorance of the orphans of the first branch to subjugate and to create this malevolence, this purgatory. Everything about them is a lie. And numbers of them even tell y'all, and some of y'all may have even heard them tell you, you're the actually chosen people. Right here in America, so-called America. I shared the name of this land, and I know a lot of y'all don't want to go back, but go back and watch my videos until you find it. I will never say it again. I keep it with me. Today we're going to start with the draft, and here we have Behold a Pale Horse by Mr. William Cooper himself. Namaste. That is for peace be upon him and his slumber. He did his best with what information and with his knowledge, what he knew of, even in his ignorance. And it doesn't mean that he was stupid. It means that he still held on to what he was nurtured with. It doesn't mean that he was wrong. The draft as military service. Few efforts of human behavior modification are more remarkable or more effective than that of the socio-military institution known as the draft. A primary purpose of a draft or other such institutions is to instill by intimidation in the young males of a society the uncritical conviction that the government is omnipotent And in brackets it states, W.C. William Cooper notes, the truth is just the opposite, as government exists only with the consent of the people. He is soon taught that a prayer is slow to reverse what a bullet can do in an instant. Thus, a man trained in a religious environment for 18 years of his life can, by this instrument of the government, be broken down, be purged of his fantasies and delusions in a matter of mere months. Once that conviction is instilled, all else becomes easy to instill. Even more interesting is the process by which a young man's parents, who purportedly love him, can be induced to send him off to war to his death. As he emphasizes again. Although the scope of this work will not allow this matter to be expanded in full detail, nevertheless, a course overview will be possible and can serve to reveal those factors which must be included in some numerical form in a computer analysis of social and war systems. We begin with a tentative definition of the draft. The draft, selective services, in parentheses, and etc. There's other terms, which I was supposed to sign up for. Thank goodness I just went into the military. I wasn't signed up for that crap. I was an Indian. What was I going to sign up for that for? My war was still with this fake government. Is an institution of compulsory collective sacrifice and slavery, derived by the middle aged and the elderly for the purpose of pressing the young into doing the public dirty work. It further serves to make the youth as guilty as the elders, thus making criticism of the elders by the youth less likely. Generational stabilization or stabilizer. It is marketed and sold to the public under the label of patriotic equals national service. Once a candid economic definition of the draft is achieved, that definition is used to outline the boundaries of a structure. I'm going to stop right there. Let me go back. Patriotic equals national. Yet, we see what the government has done in their their mental inaptitude. They have used the media and everything else, and these idiot Black Lives Matter and goofy ass, what's the Antifa, to make people believe patriotic means some right-wing, lunatic, racist organization, when that's not the case at all. They need to dirty the water to make themselves comfortable, to make everybody else practical and culpable in their delusions. Are you learning something yet? Boundaries of a structure called draft is achieved. That definition is used to outline the boundaries of a structure called a human value system, which in turn is translated into the terms of game theory. Look that up, game theory. The value of such a slave laborer is given in a table of human values, a table broken down into categories by intellect, experience, and post-serving job demand, etc. A caste system. Therefore, everybody always believes there is some kind of or some form of competition one way or another. So the woman cannot nurture the son or the daughter, and the man take the son off to see his position, and the daughter knows hers as equals. Some of these categories are ordinary and can be tentatively evaluated in terms of the value of certain jobs for which a known fee exists. Some jobs are harder to value because they are unique to the demands of social subversion. For an extreme example, the value of a mother's instruction to her daughter, causing that daughter to put certain behavioral demands upon a future husband 10 or 15 years hence. Thus, by suppressing his resistance to a perversion of a government, making it easier for a banking cartel to buy the state of New York in, say, 20 years. How about Rhode Island for $1 from Chief Cookie? Such a problem leans heavily upon the observations and data of wartime espionage and many types of psychological testing, but crude mathematical models, algorithms and such, can be devised, if not to predict, at least to be predetermine these events with maximum certainty. What does not exist by natural cooperation is thus enhanced by calculated compulsion. Human beings are machines, levers which may be grasped and turned. And there is a little real difference between automating a society and automating a shoe factory. These derived values are variables. It is necessary to use a current table of human values for computer analysis, in parentheses, it states. These values are given in true measure rather than US dollars, since the latter is unstable. Being presently inflated beyond the production of national goods and services so as to give the economy a false kinetic energy, as you're seeing right now. It's all a fucking lie. Paper inductance. The silver value is stable, it being possible to buy the same amount with a gram of silver today as could be bought in 1920. Human value measured in silver units changes slightly due to changes in production technology. And tomorrow we'll go over the enforcement and the factors thereof. 1 and 2, Father and all that. DNA of the gods. The Anunnaki creation of Eve and the alien battle for humanity. Chris H. Hardy, PhD, is not that I give two shits about his PhD. You know where that stands with me. Synthesis. This suit of events and actions from the part of Nergal tells us volumes about his psychological profile and indirectly about the Anunnaki psychology. Let's summarize what we learned. Nergal is so blinded by his jealousy and hatred for his brother Marduk that he overruns the mandate of the gods to have Marduk leave Sumer and maybe to rededicate his temple to the reigning gods of Anu and Anil. He gets into a fit of destruction, defiling and burning the Esagil. He even wants to put his own statue there, but is stopped by Enki. One can readily imagine that he was the one to volunteer, since the mission would allow him to humiliate Marduk with the support of the gods. But that was the first bullet point. The second is, because of his jealousy, he has no idea about his brother's real engineering skills, and he doesn't believe in them. For him, anything Marduk says is a lie and just a strategy for power and control. The next bullet point. Nergal is so careless and self-centered that he doesn't recognize complex technology and machinery when he sees it, nor its power source, nor does he infer it from its operating sound. Next bullet point. He may have thought, and it states in parentheses, the waterworks being operated through a techno-magical formula such as MEN. That if he stole the ME, the luminous stone, people, which you saw them using that fake-ass movie Noah, he would get the power for himself. The next bullet point. I'm sore because I'm hungry, y'all. He is so rash and brainless that he is unable to study the waterworks, something that would have led him to deduce that it is a complex machine from the sound and lights. And last but not least, he can't figure how to remove a part in such a way as to be able to put it back in place if ever removing it was a mistake. And in parentheses states, but would he ever think that he made a mistake? God forbid. Let me say something about sound and color. Are you aware that red at about 760 nms can heal your eyes? Cataracts? No, not a red laser light. That's infrared. That would burn your retinas. Look, staring at the back of a red car and focusing may assist, depending on how clear the visual is. Red stoplight borders on infrared. But around 760, 770, or something like that, around the 700s, NM, look it up, can fix your eyes. You're nearsighted or farsighted. I just wanted to give you that. Next bullet point. When the control room goes dead, he is prevented by his hatred from calling his brother, who is in the process of traveling. And one thing we know for sure is that the Anunnaki had instant communication technology, especially in their planes. which they call birds. Whirlwinds are boats of heaven. Next bullet point. Furthermore, when it becomes clear that it's not just a magical formula, but a machine, Nergal is unable to anticipate that the whole water infrastructure of Sumar is going to collapse. The next bullet point states, at no point is he able to take into consideration the people who won't have water anymore and will suffer. Not only Marduk's followers, that would suit him all right in parentheses, but even Sumar and other gods, because his hatred and jealousy filled him to the brim. Last bullet point, lastly, we cannot rule out that all that Negral wanted from the beginning was to destroy and erase anything that his brother had done, especially the most precious, the holies of holies, and the secret control room. In this perspective, his promise was just a trick to get Marduk to leave. I just wanted to touch on those. And then we get back into the rhythm of things tomorrow. It goes along with what I'm reading. The Book of Giants, The Watchers, Nephilim, and the Book of Enoch by Joseph Lumpkin. Oh, I so enjoy this. Wholesome Jaza, with all his many names. Let's go on. Let me go ahead and read Genesis 8:22. Well, let's go right into 17. And then shall all the righteous survive, and shall live until they begat thousands of children, and all the days of their youth and their old age shall they complete in peace. Don't worry what's going on. This isn't far from the truth. The idiots are compelled, and they don't even know it. I'm going to get comfortable with my back's a little sore. My apologies. Genesis 8, chapter 8, verse 22. While the earth remaineth seed time and harvest, in cold and heat, in summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. Genesis chapter 9, verse 1. And God blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Here we go. And then shall the whole earth be untilled in righteousness, and shall be planted with trees, and be full of blessings. And all desirable trees shall be planted on it, and they shall plant vines on it. And the vine which they plant shall yield fruit in abundance. And as for all the seed which is sown, each measurement of it shall bear 1,000, and each measurement of olives shall yield 10 presses of oil. You shall cleanse the earth from all oppression, and from all unrighteousness, and from all sin, and from all godliness. All the uncleanness that is brought on the earth you shall destroy from the earth. So it seems like we're lacking. No, that's not Genesis. That's the other stuff that I'm reading here. As stated in Enoch. A book they wanted to hide, and only one man, well, it's probably passed around. I believe he may be dead, or he may be somewhere else. They refused to let the original one out. Are y'all aware of that? Author's note, meanwhile, the Nephilim are having dreams and visions. Oh, and they're here. And you better believe that. 2 Quatrain 26. They drenched the tablet in the water. Blank, blank. The waters went up over the tablet. Blank, blank. They lifted out the tablet from the water. Blank. And 4 Quatrain 530, fragment 7. This vision is for cursing and sorrow. I am the one who confessed. The whole group of the castaways that I shall go to. Blank, blank. The spirits of the slain complaining about their killers and crying out. Remember from the soil? That we shall die together and be made an end of. Blank. Much and I will be sleeping and bread. Blank. For my dwelling, the vision, and also. Blank. Entered into the gathering of the giants. 6 quatrain 8. Oha, and he said to Mahwe, blank, blank, without trembling, who showed you all this vision, my brother, blank. Barkel, my father, was with me, blank. Before Mahwe had finished telling what he had seen, blank, blank said to him, now, I have heard wonders. If a barren woman gives birth, blank. 4 quatrain 530 fragment 4. Thereupon Ohia said to Haya, blank, blank, to be destroyed from upon the earth, and blank, blank, the earth, when blank, they wept before the giants. Do you get it? 4 quatrain 530 fragment 7. Blank, your strength. Blank, blank. After that, Ohia said to Haya, blank, then he answered, it is not for us, but for Azael, for he did, blank, the cherubim and of angels are the giants, and they would not let all their proved ones be neglected, blank, we have not been cast down, you have strength. And I will go on further. There's so many blanks. I can actually insert stuff, and I'm not going to do that. And there's so much more. And I will take the time, actually, when I get done reading this, and I will go over all these. So all these are actually marked. And I will go over these and read these and see if anybody can put them on. Now, I'll finish this one right here, though. Excuse me. 4Q530, column 2. Concerns the death of our souls, blank, and all his comrades in Oya. It's actually Oya, but I just want to say it the way it's spelled out. Oya told them that what Gilgamesh said to him, and it was said, blank, concerning blank, the leader has cursed the potentates, and the giants were glad at his words. Then he turned and left, blank. Thereupon 2 of them had dreams, and the sleep of their eye fled from them, and they arose and came to blank and told their dreams and said in the assembly of their comrades, the monsters, blank N, my dream, I was watching this very night, and there was a gardeners, and they were watering, blank, 200 trees, and large shoots came up out of their roots, blank, all the water and the fire burned all the garden, blank, they found the giants to tell them the dream. What are the 200? What is the fire? What is illuminated? What is the water? What is watering? Is it knowledge? Is there a give and take? Is there a reality, regardless of what's being done, that may come? All the children of men shall become righteous, and all nations shall offer adoration and shall praise me. And all shall worship me, and the earth shall be cleansed from all defilement, and from all sin, and from all punishment, and from all torment. And I will never again send another flood from this generation to all generations and forever. I only read that because I need you to understand there's Noah, there's Gilgamesh. But are there key factors in there? Do you hear what is being expressed, even in the mixing text, regardless of what they've hidden, or what was found? And are you aware that some of those, because they always want to say Dead Sea Scrolls over there, right? The Sumerian green tablets and the Gilgamesh tablets were found here, in Mississippi, right? In South America, right? I'm just going to leave that there. I'm not going to mess with them. There's much more in here. Much more. So when we cross that river on a flatboat, pulling on the wire, we'll think about it over a couple of rods. Exposing the expositions of 1851-1915. Now this is the revised edition of 2021, based upon the 2019, which was mostly pictures. And it's by Howdy Mikowski. Now Chicago, they actually manifested a change in the statute. They did something. Anyway, I was reading that somewhere else, and I'm thinking about ordering that book. Yeah, I just ordered a couple more books, y'all. So hopefully everything will get here on time. I go to pick up a lot of stuff tomorrow. I actually saw it in my Gmail. Well, a few things. Long coming. Excuse me. Long coming, but it is what it is. All right. Okay, here we go. These fairs put primitive people on display. We read that. I just want to reiterate that. It's important. And remember, I was down there with J.W. Buell wrote in the opening of his volume on anthropology at the exposition that the fairs has an all-embracing scope in which it is to be seen the works of men of all races, the primitive and the barbaric, brought in contrast with the most highly civilized, that every step of progress may be observed. Now, these fake 13 tribes knew what was happening, and they knew wars, and they knew exactly how it came to be. Why a lot of us weren't in a lot of the cities. Now, I do have pictures with us in the cities, pushing back wheelbarrows. We're the only ones there. Then all of a sudden, you see all these Pelicans that don't even know where they're going, what they're looking at. They're in awe and amazement, as if they've seen this elsewhere, but they can't believe that it's here. And you don't see us in the streets no more. But before they open every World's Fair, they met this Negro, this autochthonous family, who actually walk around and look at everything as if giving it its last look, its last gander. Look it up. I'm surprised all these Pelicans talking about Tartarian and everything never talk about that. They can't even be honest when they usurp and discuss something. One positive exhibit of note was of the horse Jim K. Remember we went through this? And we got into K's motto was that Jim was taught by kindness instead of the whip. And who taught him? That horse? One of us. Dr. William K. And then here, this Howdy Mikowski. I sent him a letter. I hope he gets it. I don't know if I sent it to the right place. Stop with that African American shit, but you know, 2021. Pelicans are pretty dumb when it comes to this reality. African American, Native American former slave. He was just autochthonous. He was an original. There's no African in any of us, the majority of us. Not to discredit or knock our brothers over there and sisters, but they're a little fucked up. Excuse my language. Anyway, the fair hosted the 1904 Summer Olympic Games at the same time. The first Olympics held in the United States, which is in America, he should have put. These games had originally been awarded to Chicago. When St. Louis threatened to hold a rival international competition, the games were relocated. Remember I went through this? Nevertheless, the sporting events spread out over several months were overshadowed by the fair. With travel expenses high, many European athletes did not come. I wanted to reiterate that. Then the fair was dismantled. Here we go. The Chicago Wrecking Company won the contract and had it dismantled in less than 2 years. All of the buildings, structures, and statues were said to be buried in 3 landfills. I would love to see those landfills and see how much marble might still be in them. This fair again lost money, a lot of money. Total cost $15 million. Total return $6.4 million. Loss of $8.6 million or $231 million in today's money. They keep losing massive amounts of money, yet they keep putting them on. Why, you have to ask? Why indeed? Well, you got to look at the time period. What war was approaching or going on? And the people had already seen enough, and they were watching them things being destroyed. Here, real history, the origin. But strange is not the word as we head towards the expo in San Francisco. That is because it was just 9 years after its great earthquake of 1906 made the city look like Hiroshima or Nagasaki. So yes, the best thing one can do is put up 400 acres of buildings to be used for only a few months, then tear them all down. Who needs housing and buildings after a completely devastating earthquake? Apparently not San Francisco. Chapter 6, San Francisco, 1950. The final fair to talk about is the 1950 Panama Exhibition in San Francisco. It was the last of the great fairs, and along with World War I becomes the marker for what came historically after. Prior to the First World War, the fairs had an industrial theme based around Greco-Roman buildings. After the war, there came a more modern-style exposition building and a focus on science and carnival-type fun. What San Francisco is supposed to look like in 1848, and we know that is not what it looked like. Just like when they do all these westerns and bullshit, how do you do a western at the same time when these great buildings exist? And the ones you put up for the western are these little front barroom salons and little whorehouses and all that, all the flat bracket, no nothing, dust, tumbleweeds. Every one of those are created for movies. Every one of them. When you go to a ghost town, someone, let's go to see what the country, OK Corral and all that foolishness. California was given its name when the Spanish owners believed, or may have at the time correctly understood, that California was an island. The area was named after the mythological island in the famous novel Los Sagas de Esplandian by Garcia Rodriguez de Montalvo. In his book, An Island East of Asia was inhabited only by black Amazon-type women. The queen of the woman was Khalifa, who was, and you remember in 1830, that's when they came aboard, the Spaniards, right, the conquistadors, and fought them. So wouldn't he know? California is known as, well, who was linked to a fortune of gold. Today, California is known as the Golden State, as well as the foundation of 1960s beach girl culture. That is a lot of coincidental connections with a 300-plus-year-old novel. So is the state's label as the Golden State due to the gold rush of 1849, or was there something about gold in California that known long before that when it was originally named? Cities of lost gold west of the Mississippi were folklore on the American East Coast. Something seems truly linked with the mythical 1400s novel, perhaps pointing to something much more real. The Spanish are claimed to have ventured to the area of San Francisco in 1769. Soldiers and a small group of settlers arrived in 1776, a coincidental data, as it is also the start of the U.S. Revolution, and signing Declaration of Independence. For some reason, it seems that the date 1776 wants to be stamped in the head of the student of history as the start of anything in the USA. All of Fort Presidio and a Mission Dolores were built in the area. The new Spanish settlement was given the name Yerba Buena, supposedly meaning good herbs, reminding me of Chicago, similarly named from onions, in parentheses. It becomes a trading center for visiting ships. Mexico gained its independence from Spain in the 1820s and took over California in 1835. So what is all that 1400 BS? It became a trading center for visiting ships. Mexico gained its independence from Spain in the 1820s and took over California in 1835. Englishman William Richardson built a house in Yerba Buena and set up a street plan for the new city. In the standard historical narrative, of course, not one Spaniard or Mexican had thought of settling up street and city plans. It took a great and heroic English person to show up suddenly to do so. The Hudson's Bay Company opened a trading post 1841, and a Wikipedia article claims a large building on the water's edge was purchased. What large building? We have drawings of what the city is supposed to look like in 1848 above. Where is the large building that could be purchased in 1841? The trading post lasted a year, then was closed when the HBC returned to Vancouver. And what happened to the large building? Is that the one that the water washed and they showed and they tore it down, talking about it was the foundation to the hotel up there, which was an utter lie? And they went in there and destroyed that quick, as they have been doing for years. This next claim is important. The settlement was arranged in the Spanish style around a plaza that remains as the present-day Portsmouth Square. When you look again at the drawing of San Francisco in 1848 over here, where is the supposed plaza? We will come back to that question shortly. Exactly. Mongols and Mongolians, they even over there they didn't have any no goddamn great city. You know how it is when the people die and the men sleep with women and they birth these babies in, and then they say, well, thank you, give us our slaves, and they bring them over here and put them in the old totalitarian buildings in our incubators and everything else. And then they take them off to a boarding school and they start teaching them. And the ones that are a little older, they fight, so they end up dead. Except for the ones that convert. Oh, Heaven Bearers, the Great Reset of 1834 and the Mud Flood, Janine Helen. There she is in South Africa. Easy. Looking like, I didn't really want to take this picture. Man, she published the book. Shut up. Oh, I'm gonna pick it up from here because I remember this part. No, I'm not gonna do that. No, he flew up in the sky. You don't know about that. I want to see where I want to pick it up from. I mean, I already know about that. Okay, here we go. Well, we'll pick it up from here. I was gonna pick it up from over here because it's so mesmerizing as real. But anyway, when they flew up in the sky and the clouds, let's take it from here. He sat and watched from above, green with envy at the different races and what they had. He saw their riches, their precious stones and metals, and he decided he wanted it all for himself. Remember who that is, right? He befriended a wanderer named Azul, and together they plotted a way for them to gain control of the galaxy. The plan was simple. They would start by inhabiting one tree of life at a time. They started with Mirth, but the Mirtheners fought back and killed Azul, and Azrael fled for his life. He knew he needed to find another way, a simpler way. He made a pact with the goddess of the underneath, named Zahra, and she promised him power and his heart's every desire. She was a serpent-like creature with 6 legs and no eyes. She could not witness true beauty, but she wanted it, and in exchange, Azrael promised her copious amounts of it. He wanted power by whatever means necessary and to learn the art of deception. Sounds familiar? And he was willing to do whatever it took to achieve this. Silent weapons for silent wars, Nephilim, Gilgamesh, Enoch, the lies told before the destruction of old. Azrael, it is simple. All you need to do is sacrifice every single one of the heaveners, the young and the old, to me, and send them to the underneath. If you do this, I promise you can have all that you have ever dreamed of. She hisses and sniffs his face. Azrael didn't ask a single question and immediately began devising a plan on how to murder all of his people. It needed to be quick and easy, he told himself. He changed the position of the clouds and let the rays from the sun slowly heat up the top of the canopies of the different trees of life, knowing full well that they will fight back to try and protect their roots. The leaves gave off an oily liquid that would reflect the sun's rays away from them as a defense. Ordinarily, the extra heat would merely evaporate and dissipate into the galaxy, except this time, Azrael lined the clouds up in such a way that they blocked this heat from escaping into the galaxy, and it cooked the heaveners alive. It melted their skin right off of their bones, and they became a thick sludge that cooked away until there was nothing left of any of them. After Azrael had killed them all, he returned to see Zara and accepted his powers that she promised him. Silly boy, I have no powers to give you. She proceeds to laugh and then hisses at him. I want beauty. I want to be beautiful, but you can't give me that. You never could, so I made you ugly like me. He looks down at his hands and in utter disbelief realizes he became a scaly monster just like her. This was never part of the agreement, Zara. Why do I look like this? He shouts at her and is angry. He doesn't want to accept this reality. He can't accept it. She laughs at him and licks his face with her bright orange tongue, but she says nothing. He realizes that he was fooled by her. It was simple, and he had not expected it. His shocked expression changes into one of amazement and awe. He wanted to become a master of deception, and she had just shown him how easy it was to deceive. He stayed with Zara in the underneath for 73 years, and he fathered 6 children: Beard, Kismet, Samira, Enid, Niamna, and Ard, and they called themselves the Heaven Bearers. Zara taught them everything she knew until they were ready. I was going to correct it, just misspell. They were ready to conquer, and so they did. For 450 years, they went from tree of life to tree of life and took anything and everything they wanted. They got high off of the fear they created and their greed for beautiful things, including the women, festered. Who are the Heaven Bearers, my sisters? Them big old froze, all oily and shining. Afro sheen. And then the Jews came and made ultra sheen to fuck your hair up. Sometimes they gained special abilities from the beings they conquered. They did this through their art of deception and with the promise of safety and security in exchange. There was, however, never any safety and security. They were cruel and showed no mercy, and the more they pillaged and killed the innocent beings, the more they enjoyed it. Plurth was their third conquest. The galaxy started to notice something was causing planets to combust internally, and knew something had to be done to fix the problem. The galaxy didn't realize that it was due to the Heaven Bearers and their pillaging ways. The Heaven Bearers knew they needed to keep their true intentions secret. They devised a plan to find a race of beings that had a king, Bulan, and that sat on the council of the galaxy. And the Empire of Tartaria was at the head of this particular table. The galaxy doesn't mean outer space, people. Remember I said the universe is within you? The galaxy is all around you. That is the ether, the space. Azrael walks out from the shadows, and he is in his normal form. This surprises Malcolm completely, and he can't help but wonder why. And even in Anunnaki, it talks about the underneath, right? The reptilians, or whatever you want to call them. I know that's not their name, but that's what everybody's utilizing. Anyway, Azrael walks out from the shadows, and he is in his normal form. This surprises Malcolm completely, and he can't help but wonder why. His eyes quickly scan the room to see if he can find King Finn's body anywhere, but he doesn't see it. You surprise me, Azrael. You walk around with such arrogance, even though you know you have met your match with her. She will end your rule. He pauses briefly while he takes a good look at him. You are uglier than I could have imagined. He mocks him and gives him a toothy grin. Remember, that's his half-son. Azrael laughs out, and the other heaven bearers suddenly appear next to him in their Tartarian form. You forget, you are my son, Malcolm. That means you are half as ugly and evil as I am. You will realize this one day, and so will your pretty little Tartarian. He grins suddenly and gives him a sinister look, or maybe not. Malcolm can feel his body panic slightly at the sight of his grin, and he immediately pushes the thought away. You understand what the end goal is here, don't you? He glances at each of the heaven bearers, one by one, but they are expressionless and don't react to his words at all. This creation of the human race to be your slave is a pipe dream. It will never work. You are not getting the birth right that you want. There are not enough of them, And the more you allow the Tartarians to reproduce, the more chance they have of overthrowing you at some point in the future. He looks directly at Samira and takes a step closer to her. That is, if you even manage to live that long. Azrael doesn't like to share. Each of you know this very well. As long as I've been reading this, right? How long do you think it will take until he kills you off one by one? There has been a new development, silly boy. Samira steps forward and places her hand on Azrael, and she smiles cunningly at Malcolm. The humans are reproducing in great numbers, Malcolm. You just don't know about it. And your little Tartarian can't stop it. No one can. You can thank Mother Nature for that. He shakes his head in disbelief. He was always the prodigal son, and he knew everything there was to know about the breeding program. He took part in from a young age. He is angry now and reminds himself that Azrael might have the nickname of the Angel of Death, as they say. But his true gift is deception. He feels stupid suddenly and wants all of this to end. He doesn't want to fight, but he knows he has to. Mother Nature will realize that you have deceived her. You can only pull the wool over her eyes for so long. And when she does realize what you have done, she will show no mercy and you will be all killed. This is the last race of beings that you will conquer, but you will not destroy them. Mark my words. He warns them gently. Now, who remembers in Nos Confoundum? We were the last ones, remember? And for some reason, they didn't leave us. They stayed for a while. But you will not destroy them. Mark my words. He warns them gently. His hands are balled into fists, and he believes every word that just came out of his mouth. He has to for her sake. Oh, sweet Malcolm, you sure are naive. She walks up to him slowly, flirty, and rubs her finger over his chest. Mother Nature has decided she wants to share in the riches. She flicks his chin with her sharp fingernail and cuts him just enough so that a single drop runs down his chin and neck. He flinches and his eyes flash purple. She licks his chest, which is followed by a teasing kiss, and she forces her hand into his chest and punctures his heart with the same sharp nail. His face turns a pale pink with the sudden realization of what has just happened, and the luminous green fades from his eyes. He falls down to his knees and feels a wave of emotions rush over him. Bonnie, he cries out. He didn't see this coming. He didn't even feel fear. How did she manage to get him to reveal his greatest fear without him even knowing about it? The color completely drains from his face, and it hits him suddenly. They are going to try and kill Azrael. That they are going to use Bonnie to do it. He takes one last look at Azrael and then at Samira. She will kill you for this. He musters up one last arrogant grin and with it releases his last breath and gently lumps over. Anticipation. It's gonna happen. You're gonna have to wait. Oh, it's just magnificent, isn't it? This is wonderful. You would think some people would hang on and stick around, but no, they got to go listen to the "We Indian," look what I found, and blah 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 blah. The same old goombah, and learn nothing. They'll come around later and feel all emotional instead of standing right and standing up and going, "Wow." That's why I appreciate the donations. And there's tons of books, more books I want to get. I couldn't wait to order a few more books once I saw. I was like, what? Dude! I mean, it was only, $105. But I added $150. I got a few books. They'll be here. Hopefully. And it says a little earlier than, about in 2.5, 3 weeks. But I'm going to keep buying. I'm going to keep purchasing and purchasing. Just keep sharing it. Keep sharing my videos. You can share your, you can share my videos right on YouTube, right? You can share it right on YouTube. For those who have followers, and if you don't have followers, still share it. People always come along and look at things. And that way, people will start coming out of some of their comas and start coming over. I appreciate all the new subscribers when you come and watch this. For those who are not so busy, I really, really appreciate you. I hate colorism. I hate racism and all this other ethnicity nonsense. I detest racists. I detest from all foundations of fundamentalists. I detect fake history and science and the copious disparities made abroad and made as an illusion to subjugate and create more fear. Let fear itself. Be wise, be humble. I'm not going to tell you what to follow and what to believe or not. I'm going to read. I'm going to speak from my side. Do I believe in a creator or creations? Of course I do. But will I tempt it? Will I mess with that? Not at all. Too many things have been perverted. Why would I sit there and ascertain something that speaks so proudly and boldly of something I actually know not? One thing I do know is I know how it ends and I know how it can end. That's all I'm going to say. Let me get some shout outs and I'm off of here because I'm hungry. Hold on. Let me get this water in line. Oh, I gotta take a charcoal pill. Oh, give my shout outs to my beautiful peoples, my family. I love y'all. That's right. If we get some Pelicans in here, they family too. Don't get it twisted. I wouldn't give a damn if they did come from another damn land or something. I don't care about all that. Only thing I care about is that we wisen up and we humble ourselves. Not before anybody. We don't worship nothing. We don't worship a thing. We allow ourselves to be enumerated. And we've always belonged. We don't have to make ourselves belong to anything. Okay? And I really, really appreciate y'all. I do. I know I'm brash. I'm going to be even worse. Oh, I wasn't kidding about going in on people. I'm going to start putting some people's names out there and I'm going to tag them and see what they got to say. I might tag them in with some of the lives. I figured out how to do it now. I have to do it on my laptop or one of the two. I can't do it on my tablet nor on this. It won't allow me. So when I do my StreamYard there, I can tag people and bring them right on in. Let me give a shout out. Who all came in here? Oh man, y'all wrote a book up in here. What's up, So? What's up, baby girl? Hey, Rhonda. What's cracking, brother? You already know. What's up, Kenfo? Lloyd, what's cracking? West Side. It's snowing in L.A.? Wow. I heard it snowed the other day, brother. Hey, Evelyn Smiley. What's going on, American Nietzsche? Beloved. Ah, Sarada, what's going on? Hey, I got to get you up in here. I know she's making some beautiful jewelry. You got to give me something to put in here so they know how to. You got to send it to me. Send it to my email, Sarada. All right? And I'll take that and I'll put it in my so people can see that, and I'll explain and I'll actually read your email out loud because I took two down. Because they're one's I don't know what I guess he's trying to get rich. Big Mike podcast. I took it off, and total. If she wants it on, she can get in contact. I'll put it back up. I have her information if anybody wants it. But I'll put your information there and I'll explain to people. I'll take some screenshots so you can send them to me and to my inbox, and I'll actually put some of those pictures and stuff up on a post so other people can see it with your email or whatever if they want to order something. All right, Sarada, let me finish giving out some shout outs. Appreciate y'all. I really do. The women are fabulous. Y'all, man, the brothers, y'all know y'all strong. We walk together, brothers, so that's a beautiful thing. The gods thought us sisters was hotties. Those weren't gods. Yes, we do. We do think y'all are hotties. Now the sisters are too busy hiding behind wigs and camel lashes. Yeah, you ain't kidding. Not with the connection of horses, and I inherit that trait. You ain't the only one. You remember that's a lot of us used to go horse grassroots and all that horse riding back in the day. A bunch of nagals. Yeah, she got that guilt. She really wrote that book. Different with shaman. I don't know. We don't worry about that. Herbo, what's going on? Sloop, what's going on, Niji? Mad love. Max B Productions. Halito, Achuma family, Achuma. Why is it so hard for the heaven bearer sisters to trust others? A lot of deceivers. And Anunnaki reptilians. Well, there could be a foundation based on that, or the creation, or something other. Remember, I'm thinking about reading Nos Confoundum all the way through again, because it gives that our Spanish brother right there. He really did a very good job in antiquating and bringing a lot of this into the forefront. Yet a lot of this is not off of that. It's around the same time. It's an awakening outside. And there are other books. I've ordered a few more. That one I should have received by now, but hopefully it comes by Friday. We don't take it all literally, but we put the parts together that make sense. Because if we allow everything to be practical, it can drive one stare crazy. We just prepare ourselves. Meditation, fasting. If you fast and you want to do an intermittent fasting and eat one meal a day, fine. But cleanse your system, cleanse, because that cleanses your mind. No, you can't fool Mother Nature. And what do you think y'all exist from? The sacrifice ritual in the Buckingham Palace. Exactly. Yeah, so I'll hit Sarada up on Instagram, and I think I have on Facebook, but on Instagram I'll definitely hit her up, because I'd be on that one. And I'll message her and tell, hey, look, send me your information so I can get it out there in my description. And that way, if you guys want to get some copper, she's the copper, empress. She makes this stuff like. So I'm definitely going to get some 3 nice copper earrings. So usually I would just go to Jerome City, the copper mines and everything. They have some of the most best copperware. I mean, real, like 99.9% copper cookware and glass pitchers and everything. Spoons, forks, you know what I mean? But I appreciate everybody coming in. To my beautiful sisters and to my brothers, you already know I'm signing off. Hour and 24 minutes. I hope it gets around, and I hope everybody appreciates the reading. Y'all have a grand evening.